Let's check on the baby steps that you need to take to attain what we call the financial freedom. Let me repeat. Let's check on the 5 steps that you need to take that we call them the baby steps to achieve what we call the financial freedom. Why am I calling the baby steps? They're called the baby steps because these are the simplest steps that you can be able to take, irrespective of the amount of money that you earn. Probably you feel like, hey, you know what, Joseph, I don't earn like crazy amount of money. I'm just earning somewhere. I just fall under the category of an average individual, how much they earn. Sometimes I feel like I earning like, low amount of money and such kind of a thing. So what are the baby steps that you need to take that you can incorporate them in your life and achieve that what we call the financial freedom? All what you need to do is to just relax. By the way, if you don't like this video, you might not actually see me clearly. Go ahead and like the video and make sure that you comment on the comment section and make sure that you subscribe. Why do you need to subscribe? Because I do post a video each and every day and you'll be notified whenever I upload a new good video. If you're watching me for the first time, this is Good Joseph speaking. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for your eyeballs. Let's get on the business, okay? Now, point number 1, if you want to start what we call the baby steps financial freedom attainment, one thing that you're supposed to do is to attain what we call just save, or we call save for the next 1 month. What we say it's savings, or we can call them emergency fund for the next 1 month. What do I mean? I know the idea of having an emergency fund is not a language that you have ever heard of. But for the very first thing that you need to do as the very first basic step or the baby step is to save the amount of money that is equivalent to save for the, or rather to cater for the next month expenses. Let me repeat. Just save that amount of money that can actually cater for your expenses for the next month. That you know, hey, guess what? If something happens for the next month, at least for the next 1 month, it's catered for. So go ahead and save a money that is equivalent to save you for the next 1 month. Why I'm saying this, because we have different understanding. The idea that can work in USA, in UK, Canada, or whatever, it cannot work here in Africa. So, but if you can save yourself, even if it's 1 month for your expenses, you already know, guess what? There is nothing that pleases. For example, if you're watching this and you're a parent, how do you feel when you know, hey, back at my house, we have enough groceries, we have enough food and all those kind of things. You even have that mental clarity and usually at peace. So just save the money that is equivalent to take care of your next 1 month expenses. Once you actually manage to do that, always there is 1 month catered for. Just in case of anything, there is 1 month of expenses that is catered for. Why I'm saying this? Because you find most of the people, they live what we call the rat race, from hand to mouth. There are people, if you don't pay them the next month, I'm telling you, the next month they're gonna go hungry. They have nothing. They get this, they use it, they get it again, they use it, they get it. Like the wealth transfers or the money transfers of the hand. They just take and give, they take and give, they take and give. It's a reality. That way, you don't have the absorbability, you don't have the retention capacity. So what you do, try as much as you can. For example, let's say your month expenses goes for something like 20,000. It goes for 20,000. I'm just throwing a crazy numbers out there, okay? Therefore, you have to make sure at least save that equivalent amount of money that if someone gives you the 20,000, all my monthly expenses are concerned. Maybe I've paid my rent, maybe I've paid my food, I've paid my recurrent expenditure is actually catered for. That's the very first step. That gives you the freedom. That gives you, yes, I know it's not safe. I know we should have at least 3 to 6 months in terms of emergency fund, but at least having that 1 month gives you the zeal, gives you the motivation to go and aspire for the next one as you progress to the next level. That builds you the capacity and also gives you what we call, the ability of understanding that, guess what, I can be able to do this and such kind of things. That's a reality. All right. Now we go to the next step. Now, what do you do for the next step? The next step is what you go ahead and get rid of all the debts that you must have or you have. Get rid of all the debts. And these debts, I'm regarding them to be the unhealthy debt. Get rid of all the debt that you have out there, right? Debt is very, very, very an amazing tool to create wealth, but at the same time can be very dangerous and can get yourself into lots of problems. So if you have any unhealthy debt, there are those crazy and small debts that really disturbs you. By the way, I was giving an example of most of the people you find that there is just like a crazy debt that always recurs each and every month. Maybe let's say you've borrowed, for example, in Kenya, it's quite popular having us these mobile loan apps that you borrow or something of sort. I don't know whether you guys, even the banking ones, okay? So maybe there is a 10,000 debt somewhere or 2,000 or 50,000 or whichever the debt it is, such that if you were to get the salary that you get at the end of the month, you solve that debt. That means that you pay that debt. then the money that is remaining still not enough to actually cater for your monthly expenses. So you are actually still forced to go and borrow again to cater for that. So you realize each and every month you do the same. You actually get paid, you pay the debt, then you borrow again, you pay the debt, you done and. So if you continue with that kind of a thing, that rat race, you're gonna get yourself into lots of problems. So what you do is to go ahead and try as much as you can. And I always tell people, for example, let's say you have that debt for 10,000 or 20,000, whichever the amount it is, you get your money and then you realize that you must, or you need that 10,000 again to make sure that you cater for your expenses. How about once you do that, when you're borrowing, don't borrow the 10, borrow the 8,000. Okay, you try to survive, you cut cost on the 2,000. The next time when you do so, borrow the 6,000, borrow the 4,000, the 2,000, the two, you get the thing. So by the time you realize you've actually cleared all that debt, and you have already adjusted your life to cater for that kind of a thing. Because when you have this unhealthy debt that is always hanging on your shoulders, it can actually become a bit technical for you to actually survive on these streets of these economies that you're living in. Okay, and not only in Kenya but globally, there is a lot of things about the economy. So it is good to make sure that you shake off the unhealthy debt that you're having. Remember one thing, you are actually having one month savings that can be able to cater for your expenses. And I'm not talking about investment. Those are just simple savings, emergency fund that can buy, your rent, can actually do your maize flour, your wheat flour, the thing that you use each and every day. And then now you're trying to get yourself off the hook of the debt, because if there's something very unhealthy, is that unhealthy debt. Now we go to the next step. That is the step number 3. The step number 3 is where now you have what we call the mental clarity. Now you have the mental clarity. Why? At least you know the next 1 month, even if something shows up, my family is safe in terms of the food. I know it's not secured. I'm not saying 1 month is secured. I'm saying at least you have 30 days to have a plan. But at least you know for the next 1 month, my family is secured. Number 2, I do not have any debt. Therefore, you have what you call the mental clarity, because there is one part that most of the people tend to disregard. This is the part of having the healthy life. When I say the healthy life, I don't mean the diabetes, the whatever. I even mean having the mental, what do you call them? Mental good state of mind, that you're okay, you clear in terms of your thinking. So at that particular point, I say, now when you have this mental clarity, now you can actually take a pen and paper and reschedule your life and ask yourself, I have 2 ways that I have to go. Should I fund the basket of savings, or should I fund the basket of emergency fund for the sake of my expenses? Okay, now you come to a point whereby both of them are important. I need to save and I need to have the emergency fund, because 1 month as my savings, as my emergency fund, it is not enough for me. Now that's where now we introduce the point number 4. The point number 4 now, this is where now you take a road trip. This road trip is what we call the sacrificial savings. Now you embark on what we call the sacrificial savings. Okay, the sacrificial savings here, I simply mean like getting into savings whereby, guess what, you operate as if you have no option. This is what I always tell people. Have you ever been in a situation where, for example, if today I come and cover your nose and your mouth like this, you'll desperately do anything possible, probably scratch me, bite me, hit me, whatever the thing it is, just to make sure that you gain back the breathing, or you can be able to breathe back. You get the thing? You're so desperate to get that thing. When you start operating in life on that basis, all right, when you start operating, if you're so much eager to actually be successful as much as you would like to breathe, that I've told you, if I was to cover your mouth and your nose, you're gonna do anything that is possible. Hit me, scratch me, bite me, whatever the thing, just to make sure that and that's why you see most, you get what, I bet you guys get what I'm saying. Now, you embark what we call the sacrificial savings. You shake off the things that are not necessary. If you're going for those outings that are not making any sense to you, they're actually using a lot of your money, you shake them off. If there's a problem with black tax, pays a lot of guys back at home supporting them, support them, but you have to make sure that you talk to them and all those kind of things. So if you realize there's some of the things that you shake all those unnecessary things, operate on the basics, operate on the things. Because I always tell people, if today I tell you 1 year of financial sacrifice will completely transform your life, wouldn't you do that? And this, I'm going to take this case scenario. Let's take a case scenario of a graduate who has gotten out of the university, and you tell them, guess what, for the next 4 months, I'm not going to pay you a dime. You're going to do everything that I'm going to tell you in this company. And I can assure you 100% we can even sign a contract. After the 4 months ends, at the 5th month, I'm going to give you a job and I'm going to pay you. I'm telling you, close to 100% of people will actually accept that deal. That's a reality. So the same is, if someone assures you, A whole year of financial sacrifice can transform your life. You go ahead and do that. Sacrifice. Do away with those outings. Do away with those the expenses that you know you don't need them. Do away with those. You get what I'm saying? Channel that money towards two things now. On these savings, you're going to do on this capacity. You're going to achieve my suggestion. Again, always contact your financial advisor to know exactly that works for you. That's the disclaimer that I always give out there. All right. So for me, I would suggest 75% and 25%. What do I mean? The 75%, let's say maybe that money that you are saving, 75% of it should go towards your savings, all right? And 25% should go for your emergency fund, okay? Emergency fund should go towards your emergency fund. What do I mean? Like, for example, let's say you are saving 100 shilling, okay? This is the money that you save each and every time that you want to save, maybe it's a monthly, weekly. I'm just using 100 for the sake of you understanding. It can be dollars, can be shilling, can be kwacha, can be naira, can be dinar, whatever it is, okay? Say you are saving 100. So 75 shillings should go towards your savings, okay? Because you're looking forward into investing. And then the 25 shillings should go towards your what? Towards your emergency fund. This is the money that, you know, gonna help you in case something happens and you can be able to remember one thing. We have a 1 month savings in terms of our emergency fund. It is not secured enough, but if you can channel this, now guess what happens? You're actually killing two birds with one stone. You're actually feeding the basket of savings, and also the basket of emergency fund is not left behind until you reach to a point whereby it is 3 to 6 months of the emergency fund. I always don't recommend having an emergency fund that exceeds 6 months. You can hear somebody having an emergency fund for 2 years. That's being a joke. Come on, you're being paranoid now. The rest of the money you can channel it towards an investment where I can actually give you something. So the moment you clock the 6 months, let's say for example you survive on a 20,000 Kenyan shillings in a month. When I say 6 months, it's at least 60,000 all the way to at least 120,000. So if you have this in terms of your savings, that's good, that's safe. But the moment you're telling me I'm having 200,000 or 300,000 for my, I mean, you're now overdoing the thing now. The rest of the money can actually be channeled towards what? Towards an investment. Now, if you embark on this journey of saving 75 and 25 towards the emergency fund, now you're moving towards what we call the financial freedom. Now the last part that is point number 5. Now guess what? You invest. Simple. Just invest that what you've saved out there. And never forget this. Just because we are interested into investing and creating wealth, thou shalt never violate the rule number 1, which is the capital preservation. There's a video that I made and told you guys the whole point of having money, or when you get the money, the thing is, you should not even think about investment. You should think about what we call the capital preservation. How can I prolong? How can I retain the ownership of this money? How can I assure that this money is still going to remain to be mine tomorrow, the other day, and the other day? That's the first principle. Now you have these savings. Do not sacrifice that what you have for the thing that you're looking forward into having. Those are two different things that you're supposed to understand. But you know very well, just by virtue of you having your money into a savings does not grow anything, does not help you in anything. You need to subject that money towards an investment which is giving birth to other money. But that investment that you're getting yourself into should not violate the first principle of the capital preservation. And this is why you find most of the people getting scammed. Now, if somebody is telling you invest here, you're going to get this return. Such that you're so much interested into how much will make you forget, or you forget that I'm going to lose this. All right. So it is good to make sure it's true. I'm looking forward into earning this amount of money from this investment, but it's my capital preservation. By the way, the very first, for me, whenever I'm investing, the question I always ask myself, yes, true, I want to get the returns from this investment. But the thing is my capital preservation assured? Yes, it is assured. Then you can embark into that investment. So if you follow all these procedures, it's just a simple 5 steps that you can actually apply and change your life completely as far as your finances are concerned. If you can allow me to just recap so that I can shed some light, perhaps if I missed you along the way, there was some distraction here and there. First step, I said, get yourself a savings of emergency fund that can cater for your 1 month expenses. Again, I know it's not safe, but at least achieve that, so that you can have the zeal, the motivations, and what have you. Step number 2, try to get rid of all the debts that you have, the unhealthy debts, so that at least you can be at peace with your life. And guess what? Now on that step, this is where now you start when you have the mental clarity, and then you do not have the distractions here and there. It's like now preparing, you're okay, you're healthy, you're about to go back to the field for the battle. Now you ask yourself, I got 2 things to achieve here. I have to achieve the savings, and I have to achieve the emergency fund savings, okay? Now, what what happens now? You embark on the two things at the same time. You make sure that you save for the purposes of investment, and you make sure that you save for the purposes of the emergency fund just in case something happens out there. And you save at a rate of 75-25, where 75 go towards your savings for the purposes of investment and the 25 go towards your emergency fund. Feed those two baskets concurrently until the basket of the emergency fund hits the 3 months to 6 months. Then the rest of the channel or the rest of the cash can actually be rechanneled back towards the what? Towards the savings. But never forget this: the expenses, then the recurrent expenditure tends to arise due to inflation, due to all those kind of factors, and maybe upgrade of life and such kind of a thing. Okay. Now, the last thing you do now is to go ahead and invest that. No, yeah, sure. The last thing you go is go ahead and do in the investment, and that investment should not violate the rule number one, which is the capital preservation. And I can assure you this: if you dare go apply this formula, that is exactly how you get yourself out of this, what we call the financial crunch, the financial problems, towards what we call the financial freedom. That is it. Simple as that. Never forget this. Always contact your financial advisor whenever you would like to get an investment, so that they can tailor down that thing that works for you as far as the investments are concerned. This is Good Joseph speaking. You can leave me a like and make sure that you drop a like button, or rather a comment on the comment section, and you can share this video if you're in a position to. Never forget to as well hit that subscription button for me. For now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one. But don't forget, my number is always on the description of this specific video if you would like to have a conversation with me on the purposes of investments for just a cup of coffee's price. See you in the next one.